if I can turn it on and off again. Oh, that sucks. It's not working. Oh, that sucks. You know what? It's okay if you guys can't see me because I'm gonna do screen share most of the time anyway. Let's talk about a few things. There's a lot of things to talk about. Yeah, so this is our weekly show, the Bitcoin Tech Talk Q&A. We are going to talk about Bitcoin and all of the stuff that's happened in the past. Well, maybe not everything, but certainly enough stuff that's been happening, and all the technical news I found interesting, and so on. Anyway, we are. Let me pull up the Q&A and everything so that people can ask questions and so on. Let's pop out the chat so I can see it. Anyway, this is my Bitcoin Tech Talk newsletter. It is, this is the one I released this morning, and there's a bunch of stories here today, and we'll certainly cover all of them. But before I get to all of that, let me just chill for a minute. Let's see, Meetup. And this is the event I will be going to tonight, Security at the Network's Edge with Drew Bunzal. And I will be doing a book signing at this. If you are in Austin and you are in town for South by Southwest, this will be a really fun event. There's a lot of people coming. You can see the attendees on this list right here, including, Brian Bishop, Justin Moen. I'm going to be there. Pierre Rochard, Will Cole, Parker Lewis, I think Michael Goldstein, a bunch of other people. Anyway, they're going to do the Noted podcast from there. They're also going to have a barbecue starting at 6. It's free. They are announcing a new product, so that will be very interesting as well. Anyway, if you are in Austin, I highly encourage you, especially if you're part of the South by festivities. This is a Bitcoin event. Not like an altcoin event. So I think that will be really, really fun. Anyway, so that's one thing I wanted to talk about. The other thing, of course, is, Amazon. My book is available in print and on Kindle. So you can order either one. You can see that it is one new release in e-commerce of all things. Which is kind of strange. I didn't think that Bitcoin was an e-commerce thing, although I guess you can make that argument. But it is available, and it is a new release for some reason. It's available right now, $48.21. That's significantly less than the list price of $70. So please order it if you are so inclined. A lot of really good reviews. There's 11 customer reviews, 5 stars for every single one. Anyway, I put a lot of time into it, so hopefully you guys can take advantage of it. Anyway, let's get to the stories. Bitcoin Tech Talk, issue number 127, March 11th, 2019. Let's talk about some of the stories. So it turns out that the Bitcoin mailing list was down for a little bit. Brian Bishop was telling me about this. He's the manager of this of the mailing list, and he is here in Austin, and he will be there at the meetup tonight. But there's a lot of stuff that I missed because the mailing list was just offline. They're talking about transitioning it from the Linux Foundation to some other place. But here are some really interesting proposals. So this is the Great Consensus Cleanup soft fork from Matt Corallo, and this is a BIP that takes a lot of opcodes that are that aren't really being used. Nobody likes opcode separator. It's confusing. Nobody really understands it. It doesn't get used. Blah blah blah. Also, there's script sigs. He wants to make it so that if it's a non-push opcode, then it just fails straight up. So you can't have like op push alt stack or something like that in the script sig, or op if or any of that stuff. It just has to be a push opcode, and it has to go through that. I think this is a really good idea because a lot of this functionality just isn't used the way that Satoshi thought it would be. Like if it's anything other than these check sig, verify, and all that stuff, like all these sig hashes, even like 2 and 3 aren't really used, or 8.1, 8.2, 8.3 really aren't used either. But script execution failing in check sig verify, check multi-sig verify, that's a very good idea as well. So really good stuff. I think this sort of cleanup is really, really needed. And it's a proposal by Matt Corallo. It doesn't have a BIP number yet, but it is a standards track BIP. I think it would be a great soft fork. Maybe I'm not sure how it would work in conjunction with SegWit version 1, which AJ's been working on. Maybe they all get they're all part of SegWit version 1. Maybe they're part of like SegWit version 2. I'm not really sure. Anyway, this is a really important one to sort of clean it all up, make scripts safer and more secure. So I applaud Matt for doing that. All right, Signet. So this is an interesting one. So Carl Johan Alm, he's a core developer out of Japan. He's calling a different network called Signet, and it's complementary to testnet, except instead of using proof of work, what it uses is a signature, and that's why it's called Signet. And this is sort of a way to make blocks more regular and easier to produce, and make it easier to test pretty much everything other than proof of work related things in a really fast way. This is how reg test works more or less the same way, except without a signature. You just sort of press like throw in an RPC command, and it will create a block from scratch without proof of work or whatever. And that's a way in which a lot of Bitcoin developers do current development. But something that's more global, that where you can test sort of different interactions and things like that, that would also be very useful. Very good proposal. I'm hoping that this also gets in and becomes a part of the Bitcoin network. So you can have like mainnet, testnet, signet, and reg tests, of course. All right, so some other stuff here. I think it's PS beats T. I think I misspelled it. Partially signed Bitcoin transaction extensions. This is from Andrew Polstra. And basically, he'd like to add some more fixed data fields. PSBT global unsigned TX to the global table, which contains just the TX ID of the unsigned transaction. Add a version field. Add fields to the per input tables. Add a field to the per output table, add a field to every table, which is proprietary use, and special table field in the global table whose key is only 0xFF should be a proprietary version field. So essentially, he's making it more extensible so that people can do different things to the partially signed Bitcoin transaction. Applaud him for that. Hopefully, this becomes a BIP and gets in. This wouldn't be a consensus thing. This would be more wallet interoperability, especially for multi-sig, Taproot, and things like that. So that would be really, really cool as well. All right, this is an interesting article from the Human Rights Foundation. They, by the way, held a really wonderful dinner last night. Alex Gladstein did, and they're doing just finding out about some of the stuff that's going on in Venezuela and Bitcoin. And Alex was talking about how Bitcoin is really a tool of freedom for a lot of these oppressive regimes and things like that. So I really applaud what they're doing. But this is a really interesting article about exactly how private Bitcoin is, and this is a very extensive article about like exactly what sort of privacy guarantees you can kind of expect, all of the different techniques that you can use to sort of figure out who's who and things like that. Really, really good reading. Very, very long article, but well worth reading. And Eric Wall certainly knows what he's talking about. And Human Rights Foundation, they're definitely doing some really cool stuff. So I would encourage you to take a look at that as well. All right, a couple of stories from Bitcoin Dev Network. I love these guys. They just make a lot of Bitcoin stuff so much more practical just by like implementing it and things like that. But this is a Schnorr BIP that this is Peter Woolley's proposal for Schnorr signatures in Bitcoin, which allows signature and pub key aggregation. And essentially, what they did here is show you how to do it in JavaScript, and it's really kind of clever. There's a lot of technical detail here. I think they're using a library, but basically they're using using a lot of different stuff. Oh gosh, why is this? All right, so let me go back. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this is a pure JavaScript implementation of the Schnorr signature. So it's doing really, really well. Very good stuff. You know, to understand Schnorr, and if you know JavaScript, this is exactly how you should learn about it. Well, I mean, I would read the music paper first and then go through exactly how it's implemented. All right, and then another one is data format for Bitcoin Core, understanding the data. This is exactly how the data is stored, what the directories are, what each file means, and what's in each of these files. Really, really good information if you are into Bitcoin Core and want to learn how to program against it. I know when I was at Armory, we read these like raw, straight off of the Bitcoin Core you know, directories, and got it all out and stored it in our database format and like indexed addresses and things like that. That's certainly something that you would want to do if you're like creating like a block explorer or something like that. Really, really good information. I would totally recommend looking through how to do it. I think this is mostly written in JavaScript, but certainly you can port this over to other languages. The format's going to more or less look the same, and you know, you get a little bit of a primer on level DB and things like that. Really, really good technical information, especially if you are a developer. All right, a few stories on the Lightning Network. So Rodolfo Novak created a ham radio Lightning invoice, and I think went through and did a Lightning transaction with Elaine O, which is absolutely remarkable. You don't need the internet to do a lot of this stuff. And this is something that we've been saying for a while here, is that you know, the internet is just one transport mechanism. There's lots of other transport mechanisms that are possible, including satellites and ham radios and things like that. I know Samurai Wallet guys are working on some sort of like TX10 or something like that, where you can, you know, you can have a network of radio transmission, you know, towers that like relay transactions and so on. You don't necessarily need the internet in order to make all of this work. In fact, you can do it by carrier pigeon, I guess, if you really wanted to. And that's one of the really cool things about Bitcoin. It's all about the networking part isn't consensus critical, so you can pretty much do all of that in whatever way you want. Here is an interesting repo from C Auto, and this is rebalancing LND. So if you have a lot of channels and you have inbound and outbound, and you want to rebalance some channels so that you have more in one channel versus another, and you have multiple channels open, this is a way to rebalance it. I can't attest to how well this works or whatever, but the idea is very sound, that you send some money to yourself through the network routing, and basically get a more balanced you know, channels throughout your Lightning channels or payment channels that are part of the Lightning network. So very good idea, and it would be interesting to see if this algorithm continues to evolve and figure out better routing and things like that. I would, you know, anyone that's interested in Lightning and routing issues and things like that, I would totally, you know, encourage you to look at this and figure out like if you can contribute and things like that. Another story from the Bitcoin Development Network, Developer Network, running a Lightning node on Synology NAS. So this is a commodity hardware, and you can buy one of these Synology network attached storage devices, and essentially you can use this tutorial to run C Lightning straight on the NAS. And And this is kind of like building your own Casa node or something like that. And that's how it will work. So that's all really cool stuff. Let me see. That's about it for the stories for this week. Yeah. All right. So anyway, I am going to stop sharing right now, and yeah, unfortunately, you can't see me. I do want to tell you that I am going to be at the thing tonight, the meetup, and I will be doing book signings there. In addition to that, I will be speaking later this week at South by Southwest. Thursday, blockchain deathmatch. Actually, let me share that real quick. See if I can do that. All right, so let me go back to here. So South by Southwest, I have a few things over here that I am a part of. I think if you search me, you can see. Search, where am I? Why am I not on this thing? For some reason, I am listed as a featured speaker here, I guess. I think there's a, yeah, there we are. Except they don't have a link to me. What the heck? So annoying. Maybe I have to capitalize. I'm not sure. Conference. Yeah, all right. So I'm going to have to go through it this way. Oh, there I am. All right, so there are three sessions that I'm a part of. I'm doing the book signing on Friday at 4:30. I am doing the blockchain deathmatch at 2 o'clock on Thursday, and I am doing why VCs have joined the block party on Friday, 3:30 to 4:30. So the book signing is going to be right after that. That's going to be at the convention center. Feel free to bring your own book if you don't want to buy it for retail price. Unfortunately, that's what they have to charge at the venue. But yeah, I will be there Friday, and I will be signing, and it will be both a physical and digital signature. So I have a PGP signature system that I've worked out, and I have it all mobile. You'll see that tonight if you come out to the meetup event. But yeah, that's something that I am working on. Anyway, hope that helps all of you. I am looking forward to all of these events. I will be doing something at MIT later this month. Stay tuned for that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and being a part of this. I'm sorry we don't really have time for questions because I have to go pick up my kids. But anyway, this song is done.